Hockey returns to Hamilton. We're here at the Class of 1965 Arena for a top 10 matchup. Colgate and Ohio State set to drop the puck in just a few minutes. I'm Brennan Miller alongside Ian Gisinger as we get set for what is going to be a massive battle between two of the best teams in women's collegiate hockey here in Hamilton, New York. Ian, how are we feeling before this season is set to get rolling?
Absolutely, Brennan. I'm super excited to be back here in Class of 65 Arena. And, you know, we've been here for a couple exhibition games, and those don't count, though. Those don't count on the stat sheet. So tonight and tomorrow will be the first real opportunity to see what Coach DeCosta's team and Ohio State, what they look like against each other, and I'm super fired up for it.
Our first ever Puck Drop Show here on YouTube as well, so we appreciate you joining us as we get set for Puck Drop to actually get going in what is going to be a very energetic game. Colgate, I know, they're excited. They're ready to get this one underway. So the game starts in just a few minutes, but we'll be with you pretty much right up until Puck Drop here on YouTube. Then we're going to switch over to ESPN Plus for that broadcast that starts at 6 o'clock. It'll be me on the call. You'll see Ian in the in-between periods time as well. So we'll be with you all night long as we get ready for this top 10 matchup. So for the Raiders here at home, this is a big game because they're playing the number 2 team in the country in the Ohio State Buckeyes, who enter the Class of 1965 Arena for the second time in 3 years. This is going to be the last time that they started the season here in Hamilton, 2023. The Raiders took Game 1. The Buckeyes took Game 2. I'm sure that's a result that Colgate, coming in as the number 6-7 team in the country, would love to get against the number 2 squad.
Absolutely, and I think everybody in that Colgate locker room knows how much of a powerhouse this Ohio State team is, and of course, they've been to the national championship in 2 of the last 2 years, of course, winning 1 and losing the other last year to Wisconsin, unfortunately. However, still, it's a testament of a very good program with very good quality skaters and goaltending, and just a very good ability to put on a winning performance on the ice. So if you're the Raiders, it's something that you have to be a little bit cautious about when you're facing a team that you know is going to be so potent and so ready to play. But again, of course, it's a good test. It's a good test for many of the players, many of the new players, many of the young players, but also those players that are stepping into bigger roles this year with the losses of some very, very talented players to professional leagues like the PWHL or leagues in Europe. So for the Raiders, it's going to be a very big test, like I've mentioned already, and I think they'll be excited to see what they can take away from these 2 games.
Yeah, Christina Kaltenkova and Hannah Murphy, 2 of the big names to leave, not just for Colgate, but up into the PWHL in general. Kaltenkova, the number 1 overall pick, maybe not what we were expecting going into the PWHL draft, but she goes and joins her former head coach, Greg Fargo, with the New York Sirens. Hannah Murphy was the captain last year for this Raiders side. In net, she's the first goalie taken off the board. She goes to PWHL Seattle, joins another familiar face in Danielle Serdachny, who is already up there with Seattle as they try and get that organization running in the PWHL. You mentioned it, though. Going to be some holes that need to be filled with those 2 players leaving. Who do you think it is that steps up offensively for Colgate?
Yeah, I mean, first, we got to talk about the leading point scorer from last year, and Alyssa Biederman, right? And, she's the one, although we talked about Kalte and we talked about Murphy, the 2 kind of stars of the program maybe last year. Biederman was the one that actually sort of led the team in points and selected to play at the Collegiate Select Series for Team USA. Of course, very impressive 3 years so far for her, and I'm no doubt she's looking to continue at this going into this season.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk a little bit about the style of play as well of Biederman. Went in last year as literally the shortest player in NCAA women's hockey, but she really plays a physical style. We'll see a lot of that here tonight when the puck finally drops against Ohio State. That was a lot of Kaltenkova's role as well. So you have to wonder if Biederman is going to try and pick up a little bit of that mantle that Kaltenkova leaves behind, that kind of 2-way forward, that power forward style of play.
Absolutely, and she slots into that first-line center role that Kaltenkova used to sort of fill for the Raiders last year. And now Biederman, who typically has been majority or primarily a winger for most of her career as a Raider, slides into what is realistically one of the most important positions on the ice. And you mentioned it, physical, tenacious on the puck and two-way forward. And of course, she is one of the smaller players out on the ice. However, it doesn't stop her from kind of getting in the middle of things, kind of messing things up for both for the other team, and making sure that no one's really comfortable when she's out on the ice. And that's something that plays to her strengths. She thrives on the chaos, thrives when the puck is kind of in those deep areas, and she's able to win it out and snap a quick shot on net. So and we know she's had success with putting the puck in the back of the net. Of course, 51 points, 19 of those being goals, and of course, very consistent throughout her career.
We're going to talk a little bit more about this Colgate team before we take a look at our player to watch on the other side for Ohio State and just how young this roster is as they come in. You take a look at the top line going into this one for Colgate. It's Pice, it's Biederman, it's O'Bain. Those are familiar names. But beyond that, you have a first-year player on every single offensive line for Colgate. It's going to be very interesting to see how some of those players slide into those spots and how they fill out the rest of these lines along with Biederman. You talk about the loss for Colgate. 2 players taken in the PWHL draft. How about for Ohio State? 8. Just an unbelievable amount of talent that this team had taken into the higher levels of women's professional hockey. They've got a lot of spots to fill as well, but one player who is going to look to do that is Joy Dunn.
Absolutely, and Joy Dunn has been absolutely sensational for the Buckeyes since she started her career here, and of course, she's now only a junior. And she's already eclipsed the 100-point mark for the Buckeyes, and that is just certainly impressive. Of course, her family has had success at collegiate hockey, and of course has just had a very she's been impactful in so many of the important games, and we talk about the national championships that she's participated in, the 2 in her career, the only 2 that she was actually able to participate in because she's still, again, a junior this year. So if you look at that, scoring in both of those and just how impressive that is, and of course it's gotten her notoriety and marks from people all over the country. She's made appearances for the Women's Worlds team for Team USA, and of course was named an alternate captain this year. Again, and if you look at the stats that we have up on the board right now, 29 goals, 33 assists, it's just impressive numbers from somebody who was just a sophomore last year.
And you keep going down that as well. Plus 44, you take plus or minus to be what you take it as a hockey fan. 55 penalty minutes as well. So we talked about Biederman not being afraid to muck it up. Dunn is not afraid to get in there either. Those are just from last season. You had mentioned over 100 points over her career as well. A big-time player is Joy Dunn. Played in 2 national championships. Scored the game-winning goal in the 2023-24 season. She is a player that is not afraid of a big-time matchup like this game is going, and this weekend is going to be against Colgate. A top 10 battle. How do you think a player like that, who is probably one of the premier players in the country, what is the mindset going into a game like this where you really want to get that big win off the top?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, and I think if you talk to anybody maybe that's not playing the game and kind of around the ice, they're talking about how big of a matchup it is and how important it is to get the season off with a win and to start the season off on a good note and really put pressure on, or I guess put pressure on the other teams that you're really competing against, like a Colgate. If you come up against a really good team and that's really high ranked and you can prove that you can handle them and beat them with authority, it's going to do a lot. However, I would say if you go inside the mind of Joy Dunn, I'm sure she would tell you, it's just another game. Yeah, it's their first game, of course, but it's just another game. And look, they want to see as much from Colgate as they want to see from themselves. Where they're at this point in the season, which is the beginning of the season, where they're at and how prepared they are for what is going to be a grind of a season. Of course, they're playing games week in and week out, and at the end of the day, they're not winning a national championship today. Of course, for both of these programs, it's their goal to end up at, for Colgate at Lake Placid and then further on at the Frozen Four. But at the end of the day, you can't do that all in one night. So go out there, get your feet under you, play your style of hockey, and hopefully come away with the win in both of these games.
And I just want to jump back to something that you just mentioned right there, Lake Placid. 2 very important words in ECAC hockey. On the men's side, they've played the championship there year after year after year, but some brand new news was announced just, 2 weeks ago? Less than that?
Very, very
that
recently.
The women's tournament is going to be played at Herb Brooks Arena in Lake Placid as well. It is a big opportunity for the women's side to join where the men's side has been going. How do we think this all of these teams, really, I was going to say Colgate, but every team on the women's side feels about being able to play in such a historic arena.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. Historic is the word that I would put in front of it. I think in general, Lake Placid, a place that I visited just recently. There's a certain aura. There's a certain feeling that you get when you head up to. Well, we're in upstate New York, but when you head further upstate New York, right?
Up.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. So
that one-lane road that winds through the woods.
And sometimes it even becomes even more magical when it's snowing down. It feels like you're back in Lake Placid during the Miracle on Ice, and I'm sure many hockey fans and many Americans know that story in terms of what it means hockey-wise and kind of nationally in terms of the passion that people have for the game of hockey, but also just the pride that they have in their country as well. So playing in a place like that, in Lake Placid at Herb Brooks Arena, which is such a historic and incredible arena in general, is I'm sure going to be a very, very exciting thing for many of these players that are playing in the ECAC who didn't necessarily have a centralized location or a place that they can look forward to every year and year in and year out, which they do now, and that's, I think, a big step in the right direction in terms of kind of placing more emphasis and bringing the notoriety up of the game.
Well, we can talk about how amazing it is on the outside looking in, but you really got to go to the teams to hear how excited they are. Here's head coach Stefan DeCoste talking about what it means to be able to play for a championship at Lake Placid.
We're thrilled. For us, it's going to elevate the experience for the student athletes and really just ride the momentum of the ECAC and the success we've had as a league, and to have a host site in an iconic American hockey town like Lake Placid. It's really just going to enrich the experience, and we're certainly looking forward to it. And it's a wonderful community that loves the game, and ECAC hockey, not much better than that. I think it elevates the experience. It adds a little prestige to our league tournament, our championship tournament at the end of the year, and I think that's something, when you start on day one, it's something you can point.
So Coach DeCoste talking there about the fact that it is a historic venue and really a great hockey town as well, and that the people up in Lake Placid, they know ECAC hockey. I mean, you think about the teams that are playing in this conference. You have your Ivy League schools, but Clarkson, St. Lawrence, both up there. Colgate, obviously, a little bit further of a drive, but still one of your upstate New York teams. So it's going to be really important for these sides as they want to try and make their way to Lake Placid to not just look at this place as, oh, this is where the championship is being held. They want to get there because this is a place where hockey history has been made.
Absolutely. You mentioned it, hockey history, and kind of as well in terms of the fans that are up there that can come and will support the game. You're building a sort of history year over year where people get excited for this type of event, and it's something that the men's side has really had success with doing in terms of we're going back to Lake Placid every year. It's been a word that's become sort of synonymous with ECAC hockey in terms of the men's side, and of course with this shift for the women's team, they're looking to do the same thing. But when you think about Lake Placid, of course, you think about Miracle on Ice, you think about Herb Brooks, you think about all those things, but not that far down the list is going to be ECAC hockey, and those fans are excited to watch that game and watch what is premier hockey and see as these players who aren't that far removed from playing in professional leagues like the PWHL in terms of all the players that we've mentioned already so far, and being able to have their own experience and watch them close to home in such a historic place, it's going to be a special moment for them and also the fans as well. And Coach DeCoste said it, I think, elevated experience is absolutely the way to put it. And
just outside of Herb Brooks Arena itself, Lake Placid is gorgeous. I mean, you go there. I was there a few years ago for the FISU World University Games.
Oh,
it was the U.S. versus Canada in the men's gold medal match, and that town knows how to throw an event.
Oh, absolutely.
Without a doubt. It is one of the best towns, and when you get an event like this going in there, it is really, really something that is special.
There's just so much you can do in that town, and of course it's still a small upstate New York town, and it has that sort of upstate New York charm, but just getting the experience to maybe ice skate on the speed skating rink that's still open and out there, that's like something that many children and I did it when I was younger, something that I won't ever forget, and I still have photos that I look back to, and I'm like, this is such a cool place, and I'm sure many of the players in the ECAC on the women's side were absolutely stoked to hear that their tournament is going to be in such an awesome venue.
Yeah, so that's what the women are striving for now, along with the men. The men have obviously tried to get to Lake Placid years and years and years. They're going to get their season started in just a few days with an exhibition game. For more on that, Mike Harder tells us why this exhibition is just a little bit more important than maybe ones in the past?
The exhibition on Sunday is going to be great. It's a fundraiser for a young man, a U14 player that's been stricken by cancer, and the community in Clinton is just fantastic. They're rallying around him, and we thought this would be a great opportunity to highlight his strength and his battle worthiness. He's fighting this head on. He's doing great. And we're excited to support it. We're also excited to be in the town of Clinton, expand our footprint a little bit. We do things with Clinton Youth Hockey. They're a great organization. And that's a really great old barn. We have a lot of people in Hamilton that grew up playing in that rink. It's got a lot of history, and we're excited to play a game there. We finished in third place, top 4 the last 2 years. We expect to better that even. We have a good group. I like us right from the net out. I think we're a great hockey club. We're going to be really well prepared. Our coaching staff has done a tremendous job so far. Yeah, it's exciting. We have a tough schedule. There's no doubt we have a tough road in October, but we're going to embrace it and see where that brings us.
So as we come back to the class of 1965 arena, we're joined by a guest, the captain of the Colgate men's team, Daniel Panetta. Daniel, tell us a little bit more about this exhibition that you guys are going to be playing here in a few days and what it means to your team.
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting event, being able to kind of give back and help out Gavin and his family and kind of do whatever we can do, kind of off the ice and help out. And on the ice, it's an exciting way for kind of our younger guys, our newer guys, to get kind of their feet under them and kind of get that excitement of playing hockey and kind of get the team going again.
I also wanted to ask just quickly before we move off of some of the specifics. Just a few weeks ago, it was announced that you guys are going to be playing in the Friendship Cup. Obviously, you won't be as a senior, but what is the team's kind of general thoughts about going over to Northern Ireland?
I mean, it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's definitely a big topic around the room. I know the seniors are definitely very jealous that we couldn't have experienced it, and I wish we could, but I think everyone's excited. That's an experience that you can't replace.
Yeah. I want to just briefly go back to that game that you guys are going to be having in Clinton. Of course, not at your home arena, which is maybe a little bit of a change for you guys, but what does it mean to get to play in a different rink and kind of a different environment that you can still kind of call home for it not being too far down the road? But how excited are you guys to play for the fans in Clinton?
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting event. It's a kind of a cool idea of what we're doing, and it's a nice way to kind of outreach and go to different fans and play in front of them and play in front of their own little hometown. And just it's a different opportunity, and it's a cool event to do that wouldn't do it most places, I would say.
Yeah, and you don't want to downplay Clinton at all. They were Hockeyville USA a few years ago.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
love their hockey, hosted an NHL preseason game as well. Our director, Patrick Cosgrove, giving me a let's go in the ears. So I know that he agrees with that. It's a really nice arena for the size that is played in, and historic as well. Speaking on historic arenas, you guys have played in Herb Brooks Arena, or had the opportunity to play in Herb Brooks Arena for the ECAC title game in the past. Now that the women are able to do the same thing, how are you? What was kind of the reaction for you guys, already knowing what that experience is like now that the women are going to have that opportunity as well?
I mean, it's awesome for them. It's for us. It's an experience that you can't take back. Every moment that I've spent there, even as a Canadian, there's so much hockey and the culture behind that place. It's so exciting. You enter the town, it's just different feeling. So I know the women's hockey team, and they're just going to enjoy it. They'll get the same feeling, I assume, and it'll be awesome for them.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Sorry, Brennan. I just want to shift away a little bit and talk about what you guys obviously have coming up this year, a big season in terms of expectations and where you guys can sort of land. And you heard your coach talking there a little bit in terms of how he thinks where you guys can perform. But first of all, you were selected as captain for your squad. How does that make you feel, and how excited are you to lead your group?
Yeah, I mean, it's an honor, obviously. I've learned from 3 great captains in the past, and with Reed Irwin, Vachon, and Pearson Brennan. So I've had great people in front of me that I've got to be able to learn from. So I mean, it's an honor, but it's also an exciting experience and just something that I'm really excited to do here.
You guys go into this season obviously with high expectations. When you take a look at the game that's going to be played tonight, and you might not know the specifics of these two sides, but you see the numbers next to their names. Number 6 against number 2. A big game like that, as a player yourself, how do you kind of keep yourself at a point where you can go out and perform at the highest level?
I mean, I think you got to embrace the excitement and the pressure that kind of comes along with it. It's two heavy hitters going at it for the first few games of the year. Like, well, there's nothing better than that. I mean, you just got to play your first shift, and after that, just let the game take it and just kind of embrace the moment.
What has your leadership journey kind of been here for this Raiders side? I mean, obviously, you come in as a freshman. You're not entirely sure how each individual team operates, but now here as a senior, wearing that C, that means a little bit more here at Colgate as well. That the double C there for you. What has your journey kind of been like?
I mean, from the start since I got here, it's been unbelievable. I mean, the team, the environment, the guys that I've always been around have been just so inviting and so welcoming to the team. So it was very easy to kind of come a part of it. And our team has always had that model. Like, the letter doesn't make the player, the leadership group. So everyone's a leader, and I think that's what we've done so well at Colgate. And so, I mean, it's always just been there from the start.
So, in terms of expectations that you guys have for the season, what are your goals? What are you looking to accomplish as you guys get the season started relatively soon?
I mean, the goal is always the same every year. You want to win it. You want to win the ECAC, but I think a big one for us is we want to be able to go to the regionals even without having to win the ECAC. I mean, even though that's what we want to do. But you always just want to be a team that everyone fears. I think we want to be known as kind of one of the bigger dogs in this league and kind of be one that people are they mark on the calendar.
And how would you say that your team is maybe a little bit different than teams that have played here in Hamilton in the past?
I mean, I think we're just constructed a little differently this year. I think we're fast, we're skilled. I mean, I think we just have a little bit of the ingredients of everything. Like, we can play fast, we can be physical, and I just don't see any really holes in our team.
Absolutely. Do you have any messages for the fans in Hamilton or fans that are all over upstate New York about in terms of showing up to your games and just what you guys are ready to present to them this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an exciting game every year that's played at the class of sorry, I'm blanking here.
65. You're good.
I
No
know.
worries. I've
my
blanked on that
fourth
many
year.
times.
I should be getting that right every time. But I mean, it's going to be an exciting game every time we play at the class of 65. We have an amazing team with a great coaching staff, and every game is going to be an exciting one to come out to. So we'd love to have you come support.
Well, you heard it. Be sure to come out here and watch these guys. If you're in the area, be sure to come right down to Class of 65
Class
Arena.
Of 65.
Right now, 65. Yeah. Right now, because we got a game coming up in just about half an hour that is going to be one of the biggest in women's hockey this season. So we take a look inside the barn where right now Ohio State and Colgate are getting warmed up. They are close. This game is getting set and ready to go very, very soon. So for our final thoughts here, Brennan Miller, Ian Gisinger, just wanted to take a look maybe at some of these lines and what these two teams are going to put out there on the ice tonight to try and pick up a first win in their first game of the season.
Absolutely. And I want to go back to something that you mentioned sort of at the top of the show, Brennan, but if you look at Colgate, they're a very, very young team. And we mentioned it actually in the pre-show before we were live on air, but there's not a single scratch for this Raiders team. Coach DeCoste likes what he has, trusts in his girls, and believes that they're the ones that are going to go on the ice and get it done. Of course, you obviously run the risk of injury or anything like that, and that becomes a sort of tenuous situation if that happens. And cross our fingers that no one experiences that at this today or at any point in the season. But of course, again, you're putting a lot of pressure on some people that maybe have not skated at the collegiate level before, and you expect them to show up and perform.
Yeah, here you go. Your first game on the ice. Here's the Buckeyes, the team that has played in 2 straight national championship
Talk about throwing
games.
them to the fire, right?
There it is. On the other side for Ohio State, you said no scratches for Colgate. There is 1 scratch for Ohio State. That is going to be Kaya Malakino, a familiar name here in Hamilton, transferred from Colgate to Ohio State prior to this season. She will not play tonight. But other than that, you look up and down the line for the Buckeyes, and it is quality from top to bottom.
Absolutely, and we can go back straight to that first line and we've talked about Joy Dunn so much already, but Jocelyn Amos, her center, is also another absolute stud in the center of that first line, and she was one of the leading point getters for the Buckeyes last year as well. She'll be wearing the C, as we just talked to Captain Daniel Panetta. We're going to be watching Jocelyn Amos and her ability on the ice here tonight.
And just to talk a little bit more about these young players, goaltending is going to be a question for Colgate. They come into this season, 2 first years and a sophomore after the loss of Hannah Murphy going to PWHL Seattle. So you have 3 very inexperienced players, 2 of which have never played in a collegiate game outside of that exhibition against St. Lawrence that Colgate played. How do you think Colgate takes a look at its goaltending situation going into this year?
Absolutely. Again, it's a very, very important point that you bring up, and I don't want to understate how good Hannah Murphy was for the Raiders last year. You mentioned it earlier, first goaltender taken in the PWHL draft, but her save percentage was a .946. A .946. That's insane.
Ridiculous.
Do you understand? Like, for those watching,
I do understand.
Yeah, I know you understand, but for those watching at home that might not understand how insane that is, it's insane. Trust me.
Very good.
But yeah, when you talk about it in terms of what goaltending depth the Coach DeCoste has right now, Farrah Walker has only played 5 games, and she does have an impressive .925 save percentage as well. However, it's those big game experiences that maybe she's lacking that, of course, she's going to experience here tonight, and it'll be a completely different situation in terms of she'll be the one in between the pipes, and you don't really know kind of what's going to come at you with only such limited game experience. But again, Farrah Walker is someone that people around this building and around this program are very, very confident in, and even last year when she wasn't playing games because Murph was obviously taking up majority of the starts. But
you have a top 3 goaltender in the country.
Absolutely, yes. But even when she wasn't, there was a lot of confidence in her, and I'm sure there's as much confidence in her tonight.
So you take a look there. Things getting set and ready to go here in Hamilton. We'll see how this one plays out on the ice. A big weekend of women's college hockey getting set and ready to go with the class of 1965 arena. We'd like to thank you for tuning in here on YouTube. Brennan Miller, Ian Gisinger have been with you. We will be with you for the rest of this one. We also want to say thank you to our production team, including our director, Patrick Cosgrove, making sure that everything was here, set up, ready to go. I thought we were going to be in the helmet if you've been to the class of 1965 arena, but stationed right next to the helmet, so I guess that's about as good as we could do. Maybe a little bit better for the camera. But want to say thank you, and be sure to flip over to ESPN Plus for this puck drop coming up in 25 minutes between the number 6 Colgate Raiders and the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. You don't want to miss it.